It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Brouwerij Kasteel in Belgium, and it's a bottle of their St. Louis Premium Gueuze. It's coming in at 4.5% ABV in a 375 milliliter bottle. I can tell just by the weight of the beer that the glass bottle here is quite heavy, it's quite hefty, and it needs to be. We got an oversized bottle cap as well. It needs to be a heavier bottle. Lots of beer being bottle conditioned and aged and that sort of thing. It's so unpredictable. You don't know if this beer is going to go or be flat as a pancake. That's the beauty of this style of beer, because it's alive, it does its own thing. So in case it's overly carbonated, maybe a bit too much yeast going on and then it carbonates up, they've made a big thick bottle to take the pressure of the carbonation. Let's have a look. Ooh, did you hear that? So yeah, a lot of carbonation so far. Beer in the glass. I actually picked this beer up in Tesco. One of the larger Tesco's. What do they call them? Tesco Extra stores. We got a 2-finger, slightly off-white head. Good levels of carbonation. It's a unfiltered amber coloured ale. For a Gueuze, for a lambic, the first thing I notice is that we've got a head. The head is sticking around a little bit, which I don't know if I'm concerned by that or I just go with the flow. The reason why I might be concerned is that generally 99% of the time the head on a lambic or a Gueuze, it just fires down. It's the lactose bacillus in the beer, or maybe not the lactose bacillus, but the way the beer's been aged. Quite clear, although we do have particles floating around in the beer. So it is an unfiltered beer, amber in colour. Let's get the aroma. Ooh, ooh, it smells good. Funky, lambic-like, yeasty, fruity, acidic. Smells good. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Oh. It's all there. It's all there. It's supercharged. It's like it wants to be a lambic. It's just like it's like it's gonna explode on your palate like most lambics do, and then it just goes, oh, stop, 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 and then it just becomes really malty and biscuity and bready. It's like a hybrid cross between a British premium ale, like a Fuller's London Pride and a good kind of Cantillon lambic. It's really strange. It doesn't know what it wants to be, and that's, for me, down to the direction of the beer. They've it's a quite unusual beer. It's quite unusual because you don't normally get a hybrid between a British style beer and a lambic. It's normally either or. You're either gonna get sweetness from the malt or you're gonna get acidity from the malt. You don't generally get the two, but strangely you get the two here. So initially you get that lack of carbonation. You get that kind of, that, ooh, it's about to happen, I'm about to be hit with a load of sourness, and then it just goes, oh, sweet. I'm just going to be a sweet British bitter. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. In terms of British bitter, there's nothing wrong with British bitter. British premium ale. But this is advertised as a lambic. This is they've worked their magic, have Brouwerij Kasteel here, and I don't know why they bothered, to be honest. I'm going to admit, I bought this beer probably when they did the last launch, the last big kind of craft launch in Tesco, where everybody was hyped up by good old Domo beers on Instagram, and everybody's, oh, we're going to have some really good beer in Tesco, Imperial Stouts and so forth. And most of the beers were terribly, terribly disappointing. Of course, with my knowledge of beer, I know that a lambic beer can be stored for years. Nothing's going to really attack it. It's already full of bacteria. It's going to be fine. So I thought, okay, I'll wait until a quiet time appears, and Christmas is generally very busy for me because I'm trying to get through as much beer as possible. So I'm down to what I'm trying to say is I've been reviewing like crazy lately, and I've got down to my last few beers. I like that at the end of the year, end of 2019 as we have it, because I go into the new year with a blank slate. None of my beers are old, none of my beers are going off, none of my beers are kind of, the hops have dropped out. It's all reviewed, it's all done. Let's go into 2020 with a fresh slate. People start sending me beer again, and off we go. So of course, you're thinking this is a lambic beer, I'll leave it till kind of last. It's not. If it was a hoppy beer, I would have reviewed it months ago. So this really takes me back to the Tesco launch of there was one in April 2019, and then there was another August time, I think, 2019, maybe July, I can't really remember. And this just takes me back to ultimately the disappointment, the real disappointment of the Tesco launch of craft beer in their stores. The only absolutely shining light of a beer which I thought was fantastic, was the Brewdog versus Cloudwater. And we had one from North Brewing Company as well, which was really good. The rest were a bit... some of them gave me chronic hangovers. I'm talking to you. Thornbridge Yellowmoo. That gave me a chronic hangover after drinking that. And this is just a weird I don't know what it's trying to be, to be honest. I just it's a shame because I've had beers from Kasteel, Brouwerij Kasteel. I've had a lot of their beers. I've had some Cherry Creeks and they've been wonderful. I had a double chocolate from them once. A double chocolate, it was like a 9% triple chocolate. It's something fantastic, and it was beautiful. But this has obviously been made. This has been made for supermarket drinkers. My apologies. I buy a lot of food from supermarkets. I review a lot of food here on the channel from supermarkets, and I quite like it. But the beers, this is rubbish. It really is rubbish. Somehow I'll say it one more time, somehow they've managed to, they've given you an inkling that it wants to be sour, and then it just ends up sweet, and it's like, oh my goodness me, why bother? why have they bothered doing that? I'll tell you why they bothered doing that. They were scared that the average supermarket beer drinker would run off crying, and because the beer was sour, you know. It's like, but then again, there's people who know their beer, who know that the beer should be sour, and when the beer's sweet, they know it's rubbish, and they know, for goodness sake, why bother? Brouwerij Kasteel, that's a 1 out of 10. It's a ridiculous rubbish example of a Gueuze beer. Brouwerij Kasteels, you should be absolutely ashamed of yourselves. Kasteel Brewery, Van Hunsbroek. Generally their beers are terrific. Steer well clear of this. It's dire, it's shocking, it's less than a half-hearted effort to try and produce a beer. Thanks for watching. Put your comments in the comments box, subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews, give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! Cheers!